JFC. You know what I mean?
No.
Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, moving on. Welcome back, dear listeners, to the Fright or Flight podcast, where we rank, review, and recap any horror movie in a given franchise. I am the Fright of the podcast. I'm Geraldine.
That is your name. And my name is Frankie. I'm the Flight of the podcast, Geraldine. Today, we're still in season 3. We're covering the third movie in this movie film franchise.
Yeah.
They changed the naming convention up a little bit.
A little bit. It's kind of stupid.
It is kind of silly. I wonder why. At first, it's called Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Yeah, and Leatherface : because they do that fun thing.
But I was wondering why. Like, this movie, I figured, okay, it's called this. It's going to feature Leatherface most prominently.
And it really doesn't.
It doesn't. It features him the same way he's been featured in the other movies. So I don't know what's up with that.
I don't know either. But you know what? It's there, and they did it.
Yeah. So last time we came around, we saw the second movie. We weren't big fans of it. Mm-hmm. I don't think either of us enjoyed it that much.
No, I thought it was more hilarious than anything. And I think that's what pissed me off the most, is that they had established a tone with the first one, and then the second one was more of a horror comedy.
It was wacky. It was super wacky.
Yeah, it was really, really campy on purpose.
But it did come out like, there was a pretty big space of time in between the first two, and I think there is some space and time between the second and third one that we just watched.
Yeah, I think the second one was 1986, and I believe this one is, it says 1989, but it also says 1990, depending on where you look. So I'm confused about the actual date, but
yeah. And so all three of these movies so far came out before either of us were born.
Yep, I wasn't even a thought.
That's insane. Like,
That's crazy.
What is do you have an experience with this movie, or like, do you know if like your parents were they around when this movie came out?
I mean, my parents were alive.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. I haven't talked to my mom or my dad about this one in particular, but so I don't really have any experience. This was actually my first watch through. So
really, okay.
I was pleasantly surprised. One of the cast members in there. He's like a legend in the horror community, so it was really cool to see him. So I got excited about that because I recognized him instantly when he came on screen. Okay,
well, generally, like what's your initial thoughts? Like, is this an improvement? Is it a downgrade from the last one? What do you think?
God, an improvement by a landslide. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 was just atrocious.
It is awful. Okay, and so let's set the scene here for the beginning of the film, right?
All right.
We have it's kind of like a road trip situation,
again,
like a couple's road trip kind of thing. We saw the last one begin the same way, but this is the characters we're going to spend the whole movie with,
right?
And I think these characters probably have the most just personality character of all of them, the most development. I feel like in the second one,
well. Yes and no.
You disagree.
I have some thoughts for sure.
Well, I just mean compared to like the first movie, like none of them I feel like had really any character development besides Sally and
Franklin.
And I think even then, like, it was very minimal.
Yeah.
So I feel like these characters we get to I don't know, there's a lot more we get to know about them.
I agree, because they actually give you some story about like why they're on the road trip in general. Yeah. So I mean, I agree, but I think these characters also suck.
You don't like them?
I still don't like them.
I thought they're all right. My favorite characters still so far have been Sally and Franklin, especially Franklin. I really enjoyed him, and I wish he wasn't so disposed of in the first film.
Yeah, I agree. So we begin this movie, by the way, which the intro was the coolest part of the movie to me.
You like the beginning?
The intro was gruesome and gritty and legendary. Weird. I mean, you see him like cutting up a face, and I thought it was really cool. And then, of course, the actual title sequence, very cool. I
thought the intro for the first film was my favorite, where it was just showing like flashes. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, industrial sounds, flashes of stuff.
I mean, it's a lot to live up to, the first one.
It is, honestly. The first one was genuinely scary. Mm-hmm. This one was, I think, it very much felt of the time. Like, I felt like it wasn't super scary. Definitely not as scary as the first one, but it's still, I think narratively, this is one of the most entertaining ones.
Yes, I still have gripes, but I mean, I do see some of the things, like, because later they do have remakes that we'll get to, and they take it away.
This movie doesn't have a lot of jump scares. It does have some grotesque things. Like, this couple's on a road trip, right? But they end up having to go through like a checkpoint.
Which is such a random spot to go through a checkpoint, because it doesn't
middle of nowhere.
It doesn't really look like a checkpoint. It looks like they literally drive up to the crime scene itself. I was kind of confused by that.
Yeah, and the crime scene is disgusting. Yeah. It's like, what would you call it, Gerald? Like tar pits and like bones and skulls found inside of them.
Decomposing bodies, essentially. But
very gooey, grimy. Like, did not look.
I did have a description for that, because we find out. Okay, first of all, this couple that's driving through, they're very awkward. They don't talk a lot in the beginning. They're kind of bickering, because we find out their relationship is on the rocks, because the girl, her name's Michelle. It's Michelle and Ryan. Michelle wants to start over. Like, she wants to be alone for a while. Yeah. And the boyfriend's not happy about it, which, I mean, I understand. I understand his saltiness, but then there's also like this annoyance to him where it's kind of like, I kind of fucking understand why she wants to be alone dealing with your ass, but
yeah, they're not the most
loving, adoring couple.
No, and it like I said, like they just want to get it over with. They just want to make it home so they can split or whatever. Yeah. But they come across this checkpoint because there's a killer on the loose. Like, yeah. The film opens with like connecting all three of the movies, saying like 10 years ago this happened and he's still out there. Yeah, which is
narratively, it is still confusing considering the second film makes no sense.
Yeah, in general, these films are very hard for me to follow sometimes because they're like, for example, in the second film, Chop Top, right?
Right.
To me, he's the same character as the hitchhiker in the first film.
Right.
And same kind of character, personality.
And then he's kind of like Tink in this one with the hand, the metal hand.
I think of him more similar as to the like the gasoline station gentleman that we meet.
I feel like the gasoline station is closer to the chef cook kind of father figure in the house a little bit. That's just my theory.
Regardless, it does seem like they reuse a lot of tools, and that is going to be a complaint I have later on.
Okay, interesting.
Where I've seen it once already. I'm like, let's move on, kind of thing.
I agree. But then they have this really interesting couple. Like this couple has this really interesting conversation regarding like some of the murders because they hear it on the news on the radio. And her boyfriend's like, I hope they fry that fucker when they catch him. And of course, the girl's like, but like violence with more violence or some shit like that.
I'm with her, and I know when you're like the guy, you're like fry that asshole kind of person.
Okay, because I'm gonna go on a little soapbox. If you are a serial killer, you don't deserve to live.
Dang.
If you are a rapist or a pedophile, fucking go. Good riddance.
I'm with her. I just think violence is never the answer. Like, of course, I think of self-defense. If somebody's coming at you with something,
well, that makes sense.
Protect yourself at all costs.
But I mean, that's not a serial killer to me. The serial killer is they are planning and plotting and they're going after.
Right.
Like, it's a pattern.
And in self-defense, like let's say a serial killer, you're the 10th victim. Of course, I think murdering the man is okay. But if everybody's safe and the gentleman's in jail, I don't believe in like execution or anything like that. Although I'm with her. Like, I don't think.
I don't know if they had some. Well, okay. I know that there's some people who are like on death row or whatever, and they're innocent and they will never get out because nobody either will reopen the case. And so I mean, I understand there are some boundaries and there's some gray area there for sure. Right. But for the most part, if there's like concrete evidence, get rid of them.
Fair enough. I think even if they're guilty, I don't think anybody should be put to death. For example,
like Jeffrey Dahmer, don't fucking care. He deserved what he got in prison. Like, that guy killed him. He deserved it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to defend these people. I just don't think it's right.
Yeah, okay, I understand. But
I don't think stooping to the same level is good.
But I mean, like, I don't know. Because, like, some of them, like, I don't know. Because there are some weirdos out there who idolize that shit.
That's true.
Who idolize these actual, like, real-life serial killers. And I think that's weird and creepy. And you need to get your priorities straight, babes. Because that's not girl boss of you.
I have this rule about, I think, when you're the driver and you're like, road tripping or whatever.
Oh, no.
I think that it's everybody else's responsibility to keep the driver entertained. Because other people, they can, be on their phone. Like, it's so annoying to me personally. Okay. If I'm driving somewhere for like 4 or 5 hours and the other person is just on their phone the whole time.
Interesting.
Because I can't be on my phone. And like, you're over here passing your time and I have to be driving. So like, if there's not music or a podcast on, well, first of all, if there's not, it's your responsibility to DJ, to like throw that stuff on. And then second of, if that stuff isn't on, it's your job to provide conversation.
No, okay. So I like that rule. I think that's really cool. However, do you have a rule about like different cars? Like, oh, it's my car, my music kind of thing? Because we do.
Okay.
Because I'm very much, because Patrick does not like my music at all. And I love my music. And I get tired of his music because it feels like he has the same songs on the same playlist playing in the same order.
That'll happen.
So I get annoyed by it. And I'm like, is it the same playlist in the same order every single time? And then he's like, no, I shuffled them. I was like, it doesn't feel like it. So like we just get annoyed with each other's like sense of style because like what's entertaining to me, not entertaining to him.
For me, it's like obviously when I'm in somebody else's car, it's up to them. Like I'm not, I definitely don't intrude on whatever they want to put on. They want to put on, some whatever. I listen to it. Fine. If I'm driving or if it's my car, I play to entertain to the people that are in the car. And sometimes I even have playlists for like, if I often drive these certain group of people, I put songs on there that we all like on a playlist. That's smart. And then I play it and then we all have a good time or whatever.
Sometimes, we have a couple of collaborative playlists where we both have like a mix of our music so that it'll shuffle and be like, okay, there's a song for you, song for me, song for you, song for me.
Fair enough.
So we make it work.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that me and Bailey like the same kind of music.
Yeah.
And so like we'll listen to it right along, and then that's not a problem, and we'll sing along to Nashville or wherever we go to.
I bring all of the vibes, all of the energy, and I'm like dancing like a maniac in the car, and then I'll look over at Patrick, and he's just like. And then I'm like, sir, you can dance as well. Like, let it out. Be free. You're okay.
Does he sing in the car?
He'll sometimes sing. Most likely he'll tap. He does like this really like this tapping thing.
Right.
It's like I don't know. It's like he doesn't even realize he's doing it sometimes. So, but other than that, like I'm like dancing and singing, making myself look like an idiot because I'm having fun, and then he can't reciprocate and make me feel like not an idiot.
Well, I guess that's how the cookie crumbles. Another thing about road tripping, eventually I have to stop by a gas station. The gas station looks horrendous, dirty, like out in the middle of nowhere. I would never stop there. For us, when we're traveling anywhere, we were very picky with gas stations.
I am not.
Especially at night.
And I actually said this in one of our previous episodes. Was like, if I have to go pee, I don't care if it's the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre gas station. I'm gonna go pee.
Wow.
If I end up dying because of it, I can't just not pee.
Right. So anywhere that works.
Anywhere. If I had to pee in the woods and we just had toilet paper with us, I would do it.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how shady it is.
Yeah. When I gotta go, I gotta go.
Okay. Fair enough.
I can only hold it for so long. So.
Another thing I want to talk about is in this movie, there is a scene that like gets referenced back later on, but they end up running over an armadillo.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, these are the scariest parts of the movie to me.
Okay.
When they run over the armadillo, and then like later they have to put it out of its misery, and that was like a really like hard scene.
Well, I want to know what you think about that because like
I understand.
So you think you should or you shouldn't?
Yeah, because then it's gonna suffer. But then, like, what if you don't like do it all the way through and then they suffer you?
Well, I think about myself, right?
Yeah.
If I was hurt, would I want somebody to shoot me, or would I want to like let go whenever it comes? I feel like I'd rather want to let go. Like I would want to stay around as long as I can.
You know, you're making good points here, but I guess it would depend on the way that you've gone, right? Like say I've gotten shot, I don't know, in like a very like hard place to heal.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please. Put me out of my misery. Yeah.
I feel like I'm so desperate to live that like I cling on to that. Like if I was bitten by a zombie, I feel like I'd be the same way. I wouldn't be like, oh, looks like I got bit, guys. Go ahead and shoot me.
My mom said she would keep me as a pet, so I'm holding her to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chain you up in the backyard?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm holding her to that, so I'll be the coolest zombie pet ever.
I don't know if she'd actually do that. I feel like you might be goners.
I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think you could, I guess it's a dark thing to mention because I think, there are those of us who have accidentally ran over animals before. Like it happens.
I accidentally ran over something a couple days ago. I said a couple days ago lightly. It was like a couple weeks ago, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see it. I think it was on the interstate.
It happens, and there's not much you can do.
I'm pretty sure it was like a cat or something, and it made me really sad because I have cats. I'm a cat mom, and somebody ran over my babies if they got out, and they didn't stop.
Or even if they're just feral animals.
But it was the interstate, and I was doing like 70 or 80 miles per hour trying to get home after work after a long night. So when I realized it, I called someone, and I was like, I killed an animal.
So you'd have a hard time with this armadillo.
I would. I wouldn't even be able to do the rock thing. I wouldn't be able to put it out of its misery. That's just not in my wheelhouse. Like, she's like, sorry, little guy. I'd be like, I'd be a mess, a blubbering mess.
Yeah, I think I would too. I mean, it's hard to kill something.
I mean, I feel bad about I feel bad about killing bugs because I'm like, what if I just killed someone's bug dad and they're all at the dinner table waiting for the bug dad to come home, and they're like, I wonder when dad's coming home, and then I've killed him. He's not coming home.
He was murdered by Jerry Allen.
I kill a lot of bugs, unfortunately, and it's not like I mean to. I'm not a serial killer of bugs. It's just
I get really weird about it. Like, not just bugs, but if I'm walking outside even, I'm careful sometimes about stepping on flowers because I don't want to kill.
Something really morbid.
Okay, what?
When I was a child, I used to step on the ant hills on purpose.
You as much as you talk about serial killers, I wonder how much of it is projecting. These people on death row.
No, because I would never ever kill anybody or any animal. I am a very sensitive
You said
person.
before in the podcast that you would tear the wings off of insect, the legs off of insect.
I was a child.
That's when it starts.
Okay, yeah, but I didn't I didn't go anything beyond that. That's it's a gateway. No, it's not a gateway drug to killing people.
Okay.
I was just a stupid child, and I was it was my intrusive thoughts. They were winning. Mm-hmm. I was like, what if I just...
Oh my gosh. Sounds like a slippery slope to me.
I would never...
You sound very convincing.
You know
honestly.
what? I'm not gonna say any more of my terrible childhood things. Ignore that. You can just take that out of the podcast altogether.
You've already said it before.
Anyway, so another thing that I wrote down that I thought was really funny was when we're at the crime scene, these people were going through it and they're like, oh man, this is disgusting. I think it was the cop or somebody was like, well, fuck me running. And I was like, what does that even mean?
You never said that before?
No.
Interesting.
Have you ever said that?
That's all I ever say. It's my catchphrase.
He's lying.
I love stuff like that though. In the last one we had the sheriff cowboy guy. He would say some things.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was so strange. And I was like, what? It made no sense. And I was like, where are they getting these phrases?
I don't know, but it's endearing and I like it.
I mean, it's funny because I'm like, nobody says that. It's when people write dialogue, especially in these movies where they try to be philosophical sometimes. You'll catch them saying things that I feel like the average human would never say. Okay. And I just think it's really funny because it's they're trying to appeal, especially with teenagers. We've had that conversation about the way that people address siblings in books and movies and stuff. And they're like, oh brother, oh sis, nobody talks like that.
Nobody does, yeah.
And it's just it's in their brain, it's there's a huge disconnect, and they think that it makes sense, and they think that people actually talk like that, but they don't. And it's just funny.
You're right.
I don't know.
The dialogue is hard to write though.
The dialogue in this movie is horrendous, and it's funny.
I think some moments are weird. Like we said, they get to a gas station and we meet a couple of characters there.
Oh my God, yes. We have to talk about it. Go for
it. We meet a handsome young gentleman. He's blonde.
His name is Tex.
Tex, yeah. Great name.
Also, I've seen him in a lot of movies. I just have to go and look it up real quick. But he's been in quite a bit.
Well, I think the actor portraying the character did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
But I also think this movie was obviously written by a man.
Oh,
because she was kind of into him for a second, and to me he was just being a creep the whole time.
He's like a suave, creepy Texas cowboy. is what it was like portraying. But I was like not attracted to him because to me, I mean, he's not a bad looking guy. I think he's way prettier in his older age. It's played by Viggo Mortensen, and he's been in Lord of the Rings. That's where we all know him from.
I've never seen those
literally
ones.
could not place it. I was like, I've seen this man. He was also in the newest Crimes of the Future David Cronenberg film. That's where I also knew him.
But you did recognize him?
I did recognize him. But then I've also recognized Benny, the character who played Benny.
Right.
Later. But I'll talk about that later.
And who's the mechanic?
Alfredo, played by Tom Everett. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It's likely I've seen him in there.
Well, he's a dang creep and pervert.
Yeah, I was very much like, this is, like I wrote down a woman's worst fear.
See, that's why I wouldn't stop at gas stations like that.
But it's also why you have a buddy system. I am not going in there alone.
To the bathroom?
Well, I'll go to the bathroom alone, but I'm not going in the gas station by myself. Like,
still, the bathroom looked awful.
It did.
Horrendous. And there was a peephole.
I mean, I'm just kidding.
What the heck?
It's going to be like, they can look all they want, but...
No.
I'm just kidding. That's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, it is
very Norman Bates of him. I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, come on. I think it's really interesting because at first we think of Tex as like just a guy trying to help him out a little bit. You know, he asked for a ride. They don't want to give it to him.
I knew deep down. I knew immediately.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was like, he's too pretty.
Well, they end up like setting a trap basically. Like you're like, oh, there's this new road. If you just head down over here. But, this is before GPS. Like they have maps.
They have like maps and atlas. Do you think you would have survived back then? Because
No,
I don't think I could.
No, I have my GPS.
Because when back
to get home,
like all of the boomers in our lives are always like, "Oh, you kids and them damn phones and stuff," and it's like they're right to an extent sometimes because it's like, how would we have survived without our GPSs?
We wouldn't have, but we don't have to. We don't
have to. Yeah. We have them, and they didn't. So
yeah, suck it, Yeah.
I mean, I could not tell you how to read a fucking map, and that's so bad.
I don't understand how I'm supposed to look at it. It's like folded up, and I'm driving. How am I supposed to safely pull it out?
That's exactly my thought. I'm like, you're asking for a disaster.
You're a clumsy person in nature, Geraldine. So I can't imagine how that
I would probably be like, like swerving and shit, and they'd probably think I'm a drunk driver, but I'm like, no, I'm just stupid and don't know what I'm doing, so...
Fair enough.
Thank God for GPSs.
Yeah. Thank you, Waze.
Yes. But yeah. Oh, I meant to tell you. So a weird thing I noticed about the character Ryan, which is Michelle's boyfriend, or soon-to-be ex-boyfriend, because they're going to split up as soon as they reach Florida.
Right.
Which they're traveling from LA to Florida. And then she's going to New York after that? ? It's weird. Anyway, he corrected like the news radio cast thing. It was weird. He was talking, it was adipocere or something like that. I probably am mispronouncing it. Apparently that is known as a grave or corpse wax, or the fat of graveyards, and is produced when adipose tissue decomposes, usually in cold, wet conditions, by the hydrolysis of triglycerides into glycerin and free fatty acids. He basically called it poison Crisco. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we found out that he's pre-med, but also that's a weird thing for you to just like...
No, I think that's for real. As somebody who knows a few of these, like health people, like it makes sense to me. They know all these things. It's just on the top of their minds, and I'm like, I never.
But I am the one who he thinks would be a serial killer. Make that make sense. I think you would be. I don't think I would be. I think
especially between the two of us, it'd definitely be you.
I don't know.
I think the police would be like, oh, just take one look in her bedroom and see all these like toys and monuments and
toys.
Yeah, you have a lot of like
trinkets.
Yeah,
I do have trinkets, and I like vintage.
You have bloody things and.
Where? I don't have bloody things.
Well, I'm sure you have a knife out there with like some like fake blood on it. You don't have like a plush knife or something, or a plastic knife with some blood on it.
I plead the fifth.
See, I know what's going on.
But yeah, so of course we are at this gas station. We have all these paper maps and shit, and they're all confusing. And also, like I said, this interaction, like we can definitely tell it was written by a man.
Definitely written by a man.
The way that the woman's like kind of like smiling at him, like he's like, oh, maybe I should just treat you both to some beers or some drinks or something. And I'm like, ew.
Yeah, get out of here.
You just met them. Chill out.
They end up getting chased. They get chased by like this huge truck.
Anxiety.
You know what? The moment that actually gave me more anxiety?
What?
When they were changing the tire.
Oh my God. That scene pissed me off. It pissed me off so bad. I was so mad.
Yeah, because they end up getting chased. They get away, but one of their tires
pops.
Yeah, pops. So they have
but
to...
also, whoever's driving the truck, because we don't see, there's like a level of mystery. There's a level of mystery there because we don't know who's driving the truck. And then we find out later his name is Tinker or whatever. He's the one who's got like a metal hand.
He has like a Mr. Krabs claw.
Yeah, he like throws a dead fox or dead dog or something on their car, which throws them off. That would also throw me off. Throw something in my car. I'm like, brr. I'm also a bad driver anyway, so...
You're a self-proclaimed bad driver?
I mean, I hit curbs, man. I don't know. People say that's what makes you a bad driver.
How often, though?
Well, I'll tell you. I was in a phone call with my friend once. We were on the phone for maybe a full hour. In that full hour, I hit 3 curbs.
When you were like, with your learning permit?
No, like this happened like last week.
Oh boy.
Listen, if the only thing I hit is curbs and not people, I think we're safe.
Yeah, you might end up being like an accidental serial killer eventually. Vehicular homicide.
Of myself, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I would also go off track like that, but the whole scene with the
Changing the tire.
Like,
because they have to get away.
Michelle is so fucking insufferable. I hate her so much.
Do you?
I do. I think, first of all, no shame to the actress, but also kind of shame to the actress. I don't think she can act in this movie. I don't think she does well.
You don't think so?
No. Her performance is sucky and not convincing to me.
What was the lead actress in the last film? What was her character's name? It was something funny.
Something like Scout or some shit. I don't know.
Like one of them was Lefty.
Oh, Lefty and Stretch. Stretch was her name. God,
good names. I like them.
Yeah.
But do you like Stretch more than Michelle?
I think Stretch did a better job acting. Yeah, especially when she was afraid. I felt like it was more believable. I was like, you're giving me nothing. Like, if I was the director, I'd be like, boo.
That's so rude.
You gotta have people pull from their experience. Method, you know? I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. It's very unhealthy.
Method in a horror film?
Yeah, it's very unhealthy, actually.
But yeah, it was making me really anxious because they have to change the tire in time before, like, and she's looking out here with like the flashlight.
She's the only one with the light, and she's like, hurry up, but then walks away, and I'm like, how's the man supposed to see anything?
Yeah, he can't change this. He's having a hard time with it.
And then he's like, I need the light, and she's like, hurry up.
And I'm it's like, nighttime.
I was literally like, what is
Well, she's trying to see if there's anybody out there in the woods.
Which there was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense. But I was like, bitch, if you don't fucking shine that light, you're never going to get that tire on. Like,
now,
it's stressing me out.
Talking about tires, do you know how to change a tire?
I do know how to change a tire.
So if you were in this situation, you'd be adapted for it. You'd be prepared. Yes, but no. Okay.
Because I don't remember how to do the jack thing. Like to
lift the car up?
Yeah, I feel like I would do it the wrong way or do it too much and then my car would flip over or something. I don't know.
Wow.
It's been a long time,
no,
guys.
I think you'd figure it out. Now, I remember one time I went to Nashville, right? Mm-hmm. And it was when I was like, I don't know, 17, 18. Mm-hmm. And I was taking a girl out to eat and my tire popped.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know at one point it did, but I noticed it after we left the restaurant.
So you were driving around on like a popped tire and you didn't know it?
Possibly. So okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly when it happened. But anyway, we get back to the car. I see that the tires popped. I don't know how to change a tire.
Oh my God.
You know, and I'm here with this girl and I'm like, you know, it's embarrassing to start off with. And we live like pretty far from this restaurant. Yeah. So I go back into the restaurant. I'm like, hey, do you know if anybody here knows how to change a tire? And I say that to the host, and the hostess kind of is just like, hold on, let me ask. And so the manager comes over to me, and the manager has like puts on like rubber gloves, and he's like prepared to change my tire.
He's like, this is the day I've been waiting for.
Basically, and he comes up to me and he changes my tire, but he's like really trying to show me how to change it. He's very like fatherly, like gives me like a dad lesson. And it's like, here, look. You want to do it like this. And when this happens, you want to do it. Make sure you get every other lug nut, whatever the fuck. And then And then he tells me, like, make sure, like, if you ever take another girl out again, that you know how to do this. Like, and I was like, yes, sir.
Oh my God.
And we had to drive back on a spare. I got on the interstate. It can't go, full speed on the spare.
So you're just like, so sorry.
Yeah, basically. But it's not the worst car troubles I've had. I used to have a car where, like, I had to jump every time I turned it on.
I remember that car, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. I think Well,
that was very annoying too. And it's also very embarrassing.
Car trouble is just so embarrassing for no reason, if we're being honest.
It is, especially for, like, typically, men are supposed to be the ones that, like, drive and pick you up and, like, take you from place A to B.
Nah, fuck all those, like, gender stereotypes. Who cares about
that? That's what I'm on. But unfortunately,
I'm like, let me swing around and pick you up, even though I might hit some curbs on the way.
Hey, that could be charming,
It's like, haha, oops. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Live your life,
I do, fully. And if people judge me for that, I'm just kidding. But, no, car trouble is so embarrassing for no reason. It really doesn't have to be, but,
It is embarrassing, though.
It's like, why am I so embarrassed?
Because you're trying to be cool and suave and romantic, and it's like, oh, I'm a pitiful loser, actually. JK, by the way.
But we're all a bit of losers, so it doesn't really matter. We're all doing our best, and car trouble suck. So, I mean, who hasn't had car trouble? I feel like that builds character, truly.
Now, they eventually get the tire changed, and they kind of have, like, an accident, right? They get flown off the road with another car, with a Jeep.
Yeah, because they're getting chased by Leatherface, which we see him. He looks different. He's got a leg brace on, which, again, narratively still doesn't make sense because he died in the last one.
Well, that's the confusing part of the second one, where, like, we never actually saw any of them die.
I guess you're right, but
like, there was a bomb that was supposed to blow up. We never actually got to see it blow up.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Chop Top just got thrown, like, kicked off of a ladder down into, like,
another
a pit.
One of those little, like holes,
yeah.
like slide things.
Yeah, and the cook? He kind of got chainsawed a bit in the crotch, but he's the one that had the bomb, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, so, like, narratively, it's just, like, confusing because you're just like, what really happened?
In my head, I'm just like, this is kind of a different thing.
Yeah, it's kind of its own standalone film. It almost feels like.
Because what ends up happening is we meet. So they get chased by Leatherface, and they get, they have an accident with another car. It's like a Jeep, and in that Jeep we meet a new character.
Benny.
We meet Benny.
I love him.
I also like Benny.
I love him. Played by Ken Foree, by the way. He's been in a lot of horror movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the guy I was telling you about. I'll tell you right now, because he is legendary. He was in Dawn of the Dead, like the original.
Whoa.
From 1978. He was in Halloween, Rob Zombie's remake. He's in a movie called From Beyond, The Lords of Salem, which is another Rob Zombie film, Nightwalkers, The Midnight Man, Dimension 404, Blood Brother, just so many things. He's just been in quite a bit. So it's really cool to see him in this, because I was like, whoa. Because my first experience with him was the original Dawn of the Dead, which is George Romero's.
Right. Zombie movie. Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's pretty good in this one. He's kind of like a survivalist, like, tactic expert kind of person in this.
It was kind of confusing because I'm like, is he a soldier? Is he like is he like a medical kind of thing?
I think he is one of those, like,
almost like a doomsday prepper.
That's what I was gonna say. He's very good at helping. My gosh. Yeah, he's very helpful to them.
What a stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm. And he immediately is trying to, like, assess, like, what's going on with them, giving them, pain relief, pills.
He doesn't believe him at first, though, because they mention, like, hey, we're being chased by these people. They have a chainsaw, and he's like, oh, you boy. Saw what?
Now, can I ask you, like, if you're in that situation, you're trying to help people, and they tell you that, what's your reaction?
So I don't do well in crisis. I don't do well when, like I've been the person who's been there for, like, my friends who may have had like a panic or anxiety attack kind of thing. And I, like, freak out a little bit, and I'm trying to be calm the whole time, and I'm like, but inside I'm freaking out myself, or, like, for example, recently my boyfriend had a kidney stone. I had to take him to the ER. Poor guy. I try my best to be very like calm in those situations because I feel like if I show any sign of anxiety or like emotion or distress,
right,
it's all out the window from there.
Yeah.
And he was already in a bunch of pain.
So you had to be strong.
I had to be the strong one. And it was very funny because he was like, I'm dying. And I was like, no, you're not. You're going to be okay. We're almost there. And he's like, no, I'm dying. And I'm like, no, you're not. It's okay. And he's like, I need you to be supportive. And I said, okay, you're dying. And then he said, thank you. So, you know, so sometimes you just got to give them what they want. I don't know.
Do what you can, you know? And Benny does do like a lot.
He does so much.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to go help find her friend because they were worried about Tex. They were worried about Tex for no reason.
No reason at all.
No reason.
I don't even know why they care. Tex was a stranger.
As soon as they drove off, like the car, Tink followed them in that car. Alfredo was his name. Alfredo was the creepy gas station clerk.
Yeah.
He was like, the trap has been sprung. Or something like that. Something really country and hillbilly like that.
Knowing that it's all part of a plan.
Yeah. Because then I was like, oh, of course, it makes sense that, you know, they would be led astray. Would you ever take advice from strangers like that?
Oh, wow.
Especially after now having the knowledge of these movies?
Honestly, it depends. I do think I have a lot of, like, faith in humanity. Like, I you know, believe in the good in people.
Me as well. I'm very naive is what I would say.
So typically, yes, you know. Like, I don't think people generally have malicious intent, especially to a stranger.
I am the same way, but we would be dead in horror movies.
In a horror movie, yeah. I mean, Geraldine, we wouldn't last very long. No.
Because, again, the trauma responses.
Yeah, I do think, though, that if you already know, like, you're not going to last long, I definitely use you to my benefit.
Why?
If you know you're going to perish anyway, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to make it as long as I can. So, you know.
So you'd be the person to be like, okay, take her instead and push me and run?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Damn.
But I feel like we'd agree that that's the best thing to happen, yeah?
No, I'm going to be the final girl.
Oh, you want to be the final girl?
I have to.
Yeah.
I ain't going down without a fight. I'd be like, I'm going to fight you. And then they'd probably, like, chainsaw my head off. And then I'd be like, we tried.
Yeah.
So,
valiant effort. Might as well push you to get away, you know? Save my life.
Well, now we know where I stand. Gosh. Okay.
Some stuff happens with, like, Tink and Benny, where we kind of find out that, like, Tink isn't the nicest fella.
He's also strange because he's like something about like, oh, technology saves our lives or something.
He's super big on tech.
Which is so weird. But I mean,
is it?
I mean, it's not weird. I guess
that's why he's called Tink, because he likes to like mess with stuff.
Oh yeah, Tinker, because his name is Tinker and then Tink for short. So that makes a lot of sense actually. Look at you putting two together.
I'm surprised you didn't. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't know. I just assume nicknames are just nicknames because, you know, like Lefty, Stretch, Tinker.
I really like Lefty and Stretch as nicknames.
I don't.
Could you imagine having two like cats? One is Lefty and one is Stretch?
No. I mean, they do remind me of Stretch reminds me of the ghost names from Casper. I think it was like Stinky, Stretch, and I think Fatso. Those are the ghosts in Casper.
Mm-hmm.
I love those movies. They're so good. If you haven't watched them, please watch them.
I haven't seen them.
They are so good. You have not watched a single Casper movie?
Nope.
All right, we'll talk about them when we talk about the family-friendly fight or flight
That's a good one, yeah.
But yeah, so I just think of like names like that, so I'm just like, it didn't register. But now it has registered. But yeah, Benny is smart and he's educated and he's a good Samaritan and he's a badass and I just love his character so much. He notices the chainsaw, is like, oh, I'll be right back. He assesses the situation and is not a stupid person in the movie.
Yeah, he's pretty smart about everything. He loads up a gun in preparation, which turns out, does come in handy.
Because he doesn't get to use it right away.
No, he kind of gets run off from where he is by Tink and right into like the hands of Leatherface.
And then we meet a random woman. Did we ever learn random woman's name?
I'm not sure. We saw her briefly because, she
was also in the beginning watching.
She was at the very beginning, yeah.
Which was really funny because Patrick was only in here for the very beginning and he's like, why is she just standing there and watching him do this? Run, bitch. And I was like...
Well, ultimately, that's what she does.
Yeah.
You know, Benny is in a tussle with Leatherface, and she kind of saves him because she's up on a hill, and she's like, hey, big guy, like, I'll get me instead or something. And so she lures him away from Benny, and then, you know, she kind of loops him.
You know, I had this thought that I kind of was... It's like a complaint, I guess.
Okay.
I feel like Leatherface is not as, like, big in this movie. Like, not like as a character, or, like, his, like...
Physique?
Yeah, his physique. He's not as, like tall, or, like, you know... Because, like, I feel like the builds of Leatherface in the previous ones were, like... He's an overwhelmingly tall,
You know what it
guy.
is? I think it's actually just the people he's around. I think in the first two films, like the other guy, Chop Top and the Hitchhiker, are very skinny, and the cook is also very small. So it makes him look so big. But in this one, like Tex and Tink are both also like taller, fuller gentlemen. So I think I
need smaller characters, smaller supporting characters, so that he can feel larger.
Yeah,
because
that is part of his, you know.
That adds to like the scare factor. Is like he like, you can't overpower him.
No.
Would you be able to overpower? I mean, maybe this one we might be able to, because I don't know.
Well, Benny does get away.
He does.
He does get away, and he kind of forms an alliance with this random lady, and apparently she had been captured the week before along with her friends, and she's the only survivor left.
Her performance was a little confusing, but I also kind of liked her acting far more than Michelle.
Yeah, I think she gave a good performance, because
like she's both scared but also like able to, you know, still within reason, but like she's
gone off the deep end for sure.
Yeah.
So she's still coherent,
but she's able to even like tell the story. Like they watch the road, like you kind of find out a little bit more about like what happens with, you know, this family,
like how they operate.
Yeah, like, oh, they're watching the roads, they kind of like will make you stop, and like they'll, like, I don't know, they'll lead you here basically, and it's like, oh, like that's interesting, even though we kind of already know that, given that we've watched, this is the third like film in the installment, or the third installment of the series. But I don't know, I just thought that was a really interesting touch. Yeah,
you're gonna have to walk me through the order of events here, because I know Benny goes back and, you know, tries to find Ryan and Michelle, right? And in doing so, the lady meets her end. Leatherface gets her, and chainsaws her up. Meanwhile, Michelle and Ryan also get chased.
They also get up, and because they hear the chainsaw going off, and then they get up and like run away, and in doing so, they also meet. Well, Ryan meets his. We think it's his supposed end, but he meets one part of.
He gets snagged up by a bear trap.
Yeah, rough.
Yeah, and now I want to talk to you about this. As here we see a couple.
Yeah.
They're running away from Leatherface. One of them gets snagged by a bear trap. He tells her, just go. Yeah. Just get out of here. I'm done for. And she's like, no, I can't just leave you here.
Yeah.
Now, if Patrick was the one, you know, if your partner was the one to get into the bear trap, what would you do? Do you think not like...
I would do my best to save him, or to sacrifice myself so that he could get out of the trap.
Really? Wouldn't that be awful for him, though? You're kind of like denying his wants. Like, what if you die when you could have lived, and now he has to see you die and then die himself?
Then we die together. It's romantic.
Oh, wow. That is not romantic, Geraldine.
Yeah. You know, we've seen some shit.
Do you think he would, help a girl out?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't know, actually.
But you think he might just like, oh, she gone, and then she start running.
Maybe he'd be like,
she done for.
Love you. And just run, which would be smart. It'd be the smart thing to do, and I am not smart, so.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm with you. I think I'd be the type to like try and stop.
I'm just this hopeless romantic, and we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. I would sacrifice my needs and my wants to survive, to make sure that my person is okay.
But what would you do, Geraldine?
I would try to open, like in Dead by Daylight, try to open the trap if I could. Mm-hmm. Do that, or if I had like a weapon, cut off his foot and be like, go.
Be free.
Be free, Hopper. Because you'd have to like hop on one leg. I don't know. I don't know.
But yeah,
that was insensitive and it was not funny. I'm sorry.
It looks like he dies because it looks like he gets chainsawed up.
That's what they make you believe, but it looks like he didn't get chainsawed
because he gets taken back to the house.
That's a continuity error, if we're being honest.
Right. He gets taken back to the house. Eventually, Michelle finds the house. And I want to talk about this because, again, it's a family. Mm-hmm. But it's a completely different family.
Completely different family. And also, to my knowledge, the mother was dead in the very first one in general.
Was that really mother or was it like grandmother?
They said mama. So to me, that's their mom. Because the grandmother was in the second one that we saw. And the grandmother was like dead and they had like a weird shrine.
So what do you think this is? Do you think Leatherface found a new family? Or that this family was around, just not seen in the previous ones?
I don't know. I had a theory because I thought they were mentioning private parts, if you recall. And to me, I'm like, what if they're just like keeping people around to like keep their family growing and then they kill them and then they wear their skin? So. I don't think so either.
I bet it's like a soft reboot thing where it's just like, it's the same guy but different. Everything's different. There's a different family. Yeah. I do think this family dynamic was creepier.
Like it was just normal for them. Like they were like very like the mom seemed very I don't know, loving, but also like in a sinister way.
Yeah, very sinister. Very morbid.
Yeah, because she's like, oh yeah, like go do this. Like it's just like normal. Oh, make sure you get that man off my cutting board over there. Like
right.
But like says it like in like a loving way.
And there's a little girl.
Yeah, there's a little girl.
And
she's got bones for days in her bedroom.
Yeah, I wonder how it was like to be, a child on set for something like that.
I'm sure they have a lot of fun. Usually,
you think so?
I think so. I mean,
oh wow,
because like I can imagine like as a child, I've been conditioned clearly. As a child, like my dad worked at a haunted house. At one point got to go through that haunted house. But I knew everybody in the haunted house because they were all my dad's friends. And I was dressed up and they would all try to like scare me and stuff like that. But not like scare me like in a crazy way because I was still a kid, but they knew me. So I did like a walkthrough or whatever. And I would be like, hey, hi, hey, hi. And I feel like to me, that's like, to other people, that's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's just how, I don't know.
Well, I hope she did have fun.
I bet she did. Because to make believe, to pretend to be scary and stuff like that is just fun. Like another example, when I was like I don't remember how old I was. I want to say maybe 3rd grade or something. So it's probably like 8 or 9 years old. We had there was a Halloween costume contest. We went to the YMCA for it. It was like a kids costume contest. All of these kids were like princesses and fairies and like superheroes and stuff.
Right.
I was a bride with my neck slit open.
Jeez Louise, lady. Oh my God. That's a lot. I'm not going to lie to you.
My mom was very proud of me. I won.
Wow.
I think I won like best overall and I think I won like scariest costume as well. And I was like, my mom said I was very theatrical. Like I had like a rose, like a black rose. And I was like trying to play the part and stuff.
And you have photos of this?
I don't know if we do or not, but I freaking won, so.
Good job. The last thing you won in life.
That is not true. I think the last thing I won in my life. No. Actually, we won several times at my place. We do like Halloween. They do like Halloween decor contests. Right. Last year we won 1st place.
Was it even a contest?
Yeah, we won money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, was it even a competition?
Like, oh no, no competition. Thanks to my mom and my stepdad, though. They did help a little bit, so gotta give them credit.
It runs in the family. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the family's really creepy. We got the mom. We have a little girl. We have Tex. We have Tink.
Grandpa again.
Again with, and they have like a little cup for him.
They also call Texas. They also call Leatherface Junior. Now,
I kind of, we'll see, I'm sure, when more movies come out, but like I feel like I've heard that people often call Leatherface Bubba.
Yeah,
is that true?
I mean, at least
but I haven't
the video game like Dead by Daylight. That makes sense.
Because we rarely hear him being called Bubba, so I wonder where that comes from.
I think it's just a culture thing.
You think it's like the fans made it, not the movies?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, at least to my knowledge, I don't know for certain, but we'll see.
Maybe we'll
the
see
later films.
if it comes up. But
what do you think about Sally the doll?
I don't like it.
I thought it was cute. Is that weird?
Yes, it is very weird.
But I wonder if it was like supposed to be like a real like.
Oh, probably, yeah.
In that case, it's not cute because then it's also not ethically sourced.
See, your concern is what is wrong here? It's creepy regardless.
I thought it was kind of cute. Like, this is Sally. And then she's like, yakety yak, don't talk back. And I'm like, oh, okay.
The child is honestly pretty good. The performance is really good from her.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got them. We got Tink. He likes to make things, and Tex is back there. Tex kind of has like a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, I thought this was kind of progressive for a horror film for like a moment, because I was like,
oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna lie, because I guess his name is Eddie, and then he like changes it to Tex or something, you know, because people make a big deal about like pronouns and like
or their dead names
or dead names in general, and it's like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, and Tink is kind of, oh, I'm sorry.
And he like corrects himself, and I'm like, even the backwoods Texas family can do it. You can too.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it in that light, but you're right.
Yeah.
You know, you're right.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have moments like that where you like will accidentally like still call someone by like their previous? I mean, I feel so bad when it fucking happens.
You can't make it into a big deal though. Like if it happens, just let it fly.
It's so hard for me to not. I'd be like, I am so sorry. No, like I literally stop everything in my tracks.
You need to stop. You shouldn't do that. Because then you're making it into a bigger situation. Because
it's like, because sometimes it is difficult, especially if you've known someone their whole life as this one name, and then their name has like suddenly changed, and then you're like, fuck, I'm so sorry. It's just force of habit. I'm the worst. I do my best to like.
It's hard sometimes. You're right. But yeah, I definitely think you shouldn't bring attention to it. If you mess up, just forget about it.
Good to know. Yeah, of course, the grandpa looks even more creepy in this one.
He looks creepy. He drinks blood.
He's dusty.
They kind of, apparently, Ryan's alive. They hang upside down like a skewer.
Yeah. And again, Michelle's performance, less than convincing that she's actually scared. I don't know. I just really don't think she did very
You really
well.
don't like Michelle?
I don't.
Now, they have a different method of killing them now. Like, they have like a little switch, like a rope they pull on.
Yeah, it's almost like a big thing, and they just swing it and hit him in the head kind of thing.
Yeah, like what it looks like is they pull it, and like a hammer comes down and flings them in the head, and that does them in. Again, though, we're
bonk.
We have another one of these scenes where like we're at a dinner table, everybody's around the dinner table, the final girl is there, and it's like I've seen this every movie does this, and I'm like. Mm-hmm. Can we just get away from this? I think this is one of the most interesting ones because, you know, we talked about how caring the mother appears to be.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, just a normal family day.
So it is really creepy, but like I said, I've seen it before, and
it is definitely the first one was the best one.
You think so?
I think so.
I think the cinematography was very interesting with like how they filmed it,
and the eyes, like the close-ups on the eyes,
and the actress yelling.
Mm-hmm. And I really think that was the most convincing performance for one. For two, it also like showed how insane that family was because they were all like mimicking her and they're like and yelling and stuff. And then the second one was just like, oh, you're Leatherface's Jane. You're the French girl he's brought home. And I'm like, what the fuck are we watching? Yeah. And then of course this one, it's just like she's not. I don't know.
I just want to see something different.
Yeah.
They do it every movie, and I'm like, they just reuse like the same parts or whatever.
And I understand it's a staple, but at the same time, like.
It's not a fun one.
No.
Like Scream has a lot more fun staples of like, there's always two killers or, you know.
And then they, you know, throw you for a loop sometimes.
Yeah. See, that's fun. This is fun. This isn't super fun.
Like it's different if you set the precedent and it's like, okay, this is a formula for the movie. And then you kind of like copy paste it and then like modify it in your own way, mm-hmm. right? Because they've done that with the Scream movies. They've been very meta. Mm-hmm. It's like and they did it with Evil Dead where they even had like a reboot completely. And I mean, but it worked for those movies.
I agree. And
this like one, even they still had that same formula. You know, the book, they read the book, shit happens, and then
but they take their own spin on it. And mm-hmm. These they kind of do, but it's not fun at all.
It's not.
Personally, I don't think so.
I think it's just maybe if it was done differently, or maybe the execution or the story was a little bit mm-hmm. different.
That's right.
But I don't know. I'm with you on that. It's just like again.
Well, Benny comes in and ruins the party.
Love it.
He has a gun, just starts shooting wildly across the room.
Yeah.
And kills the mom.
Yeah.
She gets like 3 bullets to the chest, and like I think it's Tink who's like, "Mama, no," or
Tink
whatever.
gets his whole ear blown off.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it gets really wild here at the end.
And then Michelle gets like blood all over her face from all of this stuff happening.
Yeah.
She was just in the crossfire. I don't know how she didn't end up getting shot.
Me too, if I'm being honest. Like, if Benny was just flinging his gun around.
He was just,
indiscriminately. And I'm like, you're not.
I'm surprised the kid also didn't get shot.
He should have just aimed at each one of them instead of just swinging it around.
Like, that would have been better, like, to just snipe them and, like, headshot them or something.
But no. It's just a
chaos.
Flow of bullets. Now, she does get away from this.
And that was painful because that scene in particular, that I will say was a good performance.
I agree. Oh, in general, just the concept is very...
Yeah, like she's like pulling her hands like through the nails and stuff.
Yeah, because they nailed the palm of her hands onto the armrests of the chair that she's sitting in.
Yeah.
So she doesn't get away, which sounds painful enough.
Yeah.
And then to escape, she pulls up from and she doesn't... The nail doesn't come out. Like, she just pulls right through the nail.
I thought it would have been cool if the nail did come out with her hand, like, you know, like on top of it. So then she had like a weapon. She'd be like, you know, like I've seen that in a movie before.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
But she gets out. Tex follows her, and he gets into a fight with Benny.
Yeah.
And he catches on fire.
Yeah, that was pretty. I'm not gonna lie. This whole scene, like this,
was pretty cool.
It was very metal. Like
metal.
They even played like
they did play like a metal song,
music, and I was like, this is a first, but I'm also kind of digging it.
It is interesting.
It's adding to the aesthetic where you're like, yeah, get him.
And Benny pretty much gets all of them. The kid, besides the kid, and his last fight is with Leatherface,
which I really thought he died.
Benny?
Yeah,
me too.
I was like, confusion.
Yeah, because they end up fighting each other. It ends up fighting in this little, like, what would you call it, like pool of water.
Like some sort of like swamp or some shit.
Yeah, like this is a small swamp, and they're both in the water.
What are you doing in my swamp?
And the chainsaw's in there too.
Yeah.
Just hanging around. And Michelle's just watching them tussle.
This scene was just so cringe. I was like, come on. Because she's like, yeah, Benny.
Yeah, she's cheerleading.
Oh, go Benny. And I'm like, bitch. You could be helping.
Hell, throw a rock at Leatherface or something.
Literally, you have a whole knife in your hand. Like, throw it at the back of his head or something. Jump in and help. You're not doing anything.
But it looks like Benny's winning for a little bit, but then Leatherface finishes him off.
Yeah. Also, before then, before we reach this point, like before Benny even gets to the house, our good pal Alfredo, the country bumpkin gas station clerk, disgusting pervert man, he had the next best country hit. I'm not gonna lie. He was over there like singing and complaining about his life, and I was like, okay.
I don't remember the song.
You don't? I don't remember it either at the top of my head.
You just know you liked it.
I just know I was like, he's spitting right now. I was like, okay, we love a country king. Go for it.
I like one of the lines. At some point, somebody says, like, I'll be in hell for breakfast. And I really like that line.
That sounds really badass, though.
It does, doesn't it?
I'll be in hell for breakfast.
Yeah. But yeah, they're fighting. Michelle does end up getting away. How does Leatherface die here at the end?
Oh, this actually was a cool scene. It was a callback to the earlier scene with the armadillo where she didn't have the heart to kill it, to put it out of its misery.
Right, yep.
So then she takes a rock and she's fighting for her life because he's like dragging her. So then she finds a big rock and she takes it and she goes, sorry, little guy. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, and bashes his head on. Like earlier she couldn't bring herself to do it, but now.
Yeah. But like in the means of survival, it makes sense. You know, like if anyone's faced with that, like I'm sure a lot of people would be more willing to fight for their life.
Yeah.
Very interesting, but I liked that callback. The execution could have been done a little bit better. Also, the scenes could have been lit up a little bit more. But again, we're dealing with like very late 80s, very early 90s. So you can only complain a little like so much about it. But
we cut to like the morning now, and Michelle is like walking down the road.
She looks very defeated, but also kind of proud, I guess. That she's like alive,
survivor, and a truck pulls up beside her, and it's none other than Benny.
What's so funny? The gas station's called Last Chance. I don't know if you noticed that at all.
I did.
Yeah, I thought that was really. I mean, it's ironic, so it's just fun.
Yeah, but, the idea being that it's like last gas station for a while, but it also being like
it's your last chance.
Yeah.
To be alive.
I was so happy to see Benny. I was like, Benny made it, yay!
But I was also like, what?
It didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense because we literally saw him get his head like chainsawed through. I thought so. Continuity, we love it. So then she's like, and their acting was horrible at the very end scene there, and I was like, whatever. And then we see none other than Alfredo again, which I thought he was also dead. But if we're being honest, it didn't seem like Benny actually killed him. It just seemed like
threw him
Benny,
in the water.
Like knocked him out and threw him in the water. Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess that makes sense for him to be
back. They have one last little tussle here that Michelle, wins.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't like it, with the guns in his face or whatever. And I'm like, literally. But I did like this when he's like, you sure a woman like you knows how to use that thing kind of thing. And she's like, yeah, bitch, basically.
And then shoots him.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's very girl boss ever.
It is very girl boss ever. And then they just ride away. And that's the end of the movie. Now, I like this ending a lot better than the second one.
Yeah.
Where Stretch, finds the finds a chainsaw and starts doing the dance.
Yeah.
I love the dance in the first movie.
The first one should have been the only one.
Yeah, and I don't know why she does it. I don't know what the character motivation is.
There's none, and then we don't even hear from Stretch. We don't see Stretch. It's just there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point even?
Right, but this one, I'm okay with this last little fight. And then both of them end up surviving, Benny and Michelle.
They both end up surviving. And I don't know that we will hear from them again because typically they have different characters. It seems like in every movie.
In every movie.
So yeah, that's
Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Ultimately, this is my thoughts on it. Okay. I liked it.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot better than the second one.
Oh, I agree.
So much better than the second one. I still like the first one, mostly because of Franklin. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really like Franklin. I
just like the first one the most because it's such a, I don't know, like it just felt. It had more going on, but not in a chaotic way. It had less going on, I guess, theoretically, but like.
I guess it had a lot of intrigue, the first one. Like, we're getting introduced to everything. It's conceptually interesting. The only thing about the first one that I don't like is at some point of the movie, there's like a 30-minute stretch where there's no plot. All it is like, let's go to this house. Dies. Let's go to this house. Dies. Yeah, and so I'm like, this is not very creative at all.
But I mean, I liked the one off, like one by one, like that kind of idea where you're like, I wonder where all my friends are going, basically. Yeah. I don't know, just that's kind of fun because you typically, that's a staple in the horror movies in general, that formula where it's like, oh, if you get people kind of not in the group, they're like one by one.
Right.
That's typically when you attack. That's typically how they get you. I don't know. So I think that that one does it so much better, but also we have 5 people there, and then in these other ones we don't have that many people.
This one we really had like 3 heroes here. Between Benny, Ryan, and Michelle.
I mean, I wasn't, but I mean, we weren't particularly attached to any of the characters except for Benny. Benny was just cool.
Yeah, Benny was the coolest one.
But so I was gonna be upset if Benny died, but the rest of them, I really didn't care.
I'm happy he survived. I'm happy he made it through.
Me too.
And I would love to see his return, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I believe he's still alive? ?
Well, I just mean in the next movies that we.
It would be cool though if we did see him in a future one because he's badass.
So, Geraldine, are you ready to get to the rankings?
I believe we are on the same page mentally for this one as well.
Okay, so I think for me, the rankings are going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre number 1.
Yep.
Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3 number 2, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 at number 3.
I am in the same boat, literally to a T. It's going to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
Well, I want to hear from you guys.
The naming conventions are so confusing.
It's just really weird, yeah.
Because the next one, I believe it's like Leatherface, the next chapter, or a new I don't know. It's
Next Generation,
something like that. But I'm excited for that one. I've not seen that one, and I know it has Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, which is going to be really fun.
Now, do you have any anticipations? Do you think it'll do good on the list?
I hope it's better than number 2.
Me too. It'd be horrendous if it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling
That's worst case scenario.
It's Matthew McConaughey, and he's from Texas, so I bet we're gonna get that good Texas accent, and it's gonna be real nice. All right, that kind of thing.
That's a really good Matthew.
I agree. Thank you. I worked really hard on that.
Well, I want to know what you guys think. Everybody listening, I want to know: do you guys agree with us? Do you think we're off here? Do you think number 2 is the best one,
or do you think we're crazy? I mean,
yeah. Because I think it's hard to like the second movie, if I'm being honest.
Well, I mean, like my mom has said, in the Halloween franchise, there's a movie, the third one that John Carpenter did was Season of the Witch. It's a standalone one. It really does not need to be included in it, but it's got its own cult following, and it's one of my favorites. Truly, it's so good. But I know that it doesn't belong. And that's the thing. It's like, so there's also its own cult following for the second one in this franchise here, where my mom said that there's like a bunch of people who really just adore it. And I'm like, good for them. Like, I don't see the love. So, I mean, but again, maybe if I had watched it growing up, maybe it would have like been a favorite. I don't know. Maybe it would have altered me a little bit, and I would have been like, oh no, I stand by it, but I don't. I have no attachment to that one. I will probably never watch it again after that.
I probably won't either.
It was just not good.
I am excited to watch the next one.
I am too. I have no predictions other than I know that it's got to be good. It's Matthew McConaughey.
Well, we'll find out. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you the next time. Bye.
Next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Fright or Flight, a Live Oaks Village production. This episode was hosted by Geraldine Johnson and Saul Alberto Arizmendi Ochoa. Editing and music composition by Saul Alberto Arizmendi Ochoa.